Hello, and welcome to the Off-Meta Umineko Read-Along podcast, the semi-weekly podcast where I guide my friends and first-time readers through my favorite story of all time, the highly acclaimed murder mystery visual novel Umineko When They Cry. We'll be discussing its narrative and themes, and they will work together with our community to try and solve its various mysteries. Hope you'll join us on this exciting journey as we delve into the Witch's Cat Box. I'm Kyle J, and joining me on our one-way trip to Rokkenjiima, we have our readers, James Capelli, Ben, Hayley, and Becca. Welcome, y'all. So, how was your read this week?
It was a roller coaster. I was neutral, then I hated it, then I had a nap, and then I loved it. I'm not sure I've ever napped on a roller coaster.
Was the nap necessary for you, like, turning a corner into loving it, or?
Undecided. I really think it's just the wind and rain noises, honestly. Like, I just, every single time, it's like a white noise machine in my head. And if I'm even just a little bit, like, if I've had a long day, if I didn't quite get my 8 hours the night before, that white noise machine of rain and wind just sends me off. I really don't. I don't think it's ever really necessarily the story. It's just like I woke up because the dog started yelling at me to feed her. So yeah.
I will say that the wind in this sounds like what me trying to whistle sounds like, and I can like emulate it, but like I'm not sure it will come through over Discord or the call, but every time I try to whistle, which I can't, which is really annoying for somebody who's musically inclined that they can't whistle, it sounds exactly like that wind.
Oh man, that's rough.
It sucks. It is. It's a first world problem.
But on the bright side, your whistle could put people to sleep, so that's a pretty cool skill.
Yeah.
Well, the next time we're at a convention together and I'm struggling, I'll just come and have you whistle next to my bed.
All right, I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll just come into your room. Adam will dislike it, but I'll just stand by your side of your bed and just whistle until you fall asleep. Then I'll leave.
Perfect. I can't wait.
Perfect.
Human white noise machine. I really enjoyed this reading. I love that it's like a fight to the death for love. It's so over the top and amazing.
It's certainly over the top.
And that sounds like an opinion, Capelli, that you don't really want to put into the into the world. Like you're holding back there.
No, it was. I want to say it was fine, but I liked it more than to say it was fine. It was cool, but it just sort of like kind of what I've come to expect at this point. So I didn't like wow me. I think the one wow factor was the first kill. Like that was like, ooh, okay, I see what we're doing here. All right, I'm on board. I think I kind of liked the first half of this reading a bit more.
Oh, interesting.
Just because I like where this episode is going. And while the
too.
second half was no doubt very cool, it didn't add to, like, the shoe's going to drop at some point. And I don't feel like the second half added to that so much as it was just, like, fun. I think it's interesting because, like, I remember the first big flashy fight we had, which was Kanon versus one of the stakes. I don't remember. And I was like, this is awesome. And Ben was like, I kind of hate this, I guess. And now it's just, like, almost like we're reversed. But I've just become like, I've come to expect these cool fights at this point, and I enjoy it. But I'm more here for like, give me more mystery, give me more intrigue, give me more interpersonal dynamics as far as like what's going on with Beato and all that. Like that's more of a mystery that I can sink my teeth into. Action, still very cool, but yes, Ben.
Yeah, I'll say on that the first fight was expected and therefore not as interesting, I think is the answer.
You mean the one with Kanon and the stake?
No, sorry. The first fight in this reading between Ava and George, that was expected. Like when we got into like, oh, they're going to have to fight someone to prove their love. I'm like, well, of course George is going to fight Ava. That makes sense. It was a fine fight. I thought it was par for the course. I did not legitimately understand that George was killing Ava. Like at the end of that, I thought he just like killed the witch and this was all in like some ethereal realm or something. It wasn't until the second fight that, and when Jessica said, locked room murder confirmed or something to that nature, or someone said that, then I'm like, oh no, this is real. This is happening in the game boards or something to the effect of this. And everything that we just witnessed is going to have ramifications, more than just character ramifications, I should say, which is why I liked the second fight better. I also just think I was more intrigued by the premise of the second fight than the first, because again, the first had a lot leading up to it. The second felt out of nowhere, and that made it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the out of nowhere aspect.
All right, well, this week we read about 3 hours of the VN, ending on the line, the ones they loved had already shown their determination. They had to carry on. After which, there's the shattering of glass, and that is videos 100 through 102 of the YouTube playlist. If you've not caught up to that point yet, go ahead and stop the podcast and catch up before rejoining us, or if you're just listening to us along for the ride, welcome aboard.
We hit 100. Woo!
Yeah, wow. Do you ever imagine that you would do a podcast that involved you reading 100 nearly hour-long YouTube videos, full of reading?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
First time for everything.
Our story resumes in the Metaworld version of the study of the head of the Oshirimiya family. Kumasawa and Chick Beatrice have brought in a basket of butterfly-shaped cookies to give Battler as a surprise. However, when Battler arrives, he is none too pleased. When he refuses to even take a bite and orders it all to be removed, Chick Beatrice is devastated, and Kumasawa furious. While Battler recognizes that his displeasure is irrational, Chick Beatrice's cute and devotional actions only shine an even harsher light on what he has lost. Even Ange, from the realm of spectating, is unsure of how to feel about what she has just seen. Summoning the Chick Beatrice, who exists outside the game board and is using Feathering's library, Ange asks her why she calls Battler father. Chick Beatrice replies that it is because he created the piece that she is. However, as Feathering confirms, there's nothing innate to being a piece that requires it to love or obey its creator. As Chick Beatrice then attests, it's almost as if being dedicated to Battler is the purpose for which this piece was born. However, since Battler merely inherited this game board from the original Beatrice, it was her that would have created this piece in the first place. If devotion towards Battler was Chick Beato's only motivation, Ange could perhaps understand her as a simple furniture of the witch, but Chick Beatrice also seems to long for Battler to see her and recognize her efforts. It's almost as if she is simply a girl in love with him. But why then would the original Beatrice create this piece? Using food as an analogy, no matter how much this piece were to eat, its creator would never become full. Still, despite how coldly Battler has rejected her, Chick Beatrice continues to make excuses for him, and seeks to learn more about the Beatrice that Battler desires. Back in the study, Battler sits alone in sullen silence. Using his powers as the Game Master, he recreates an illusion of the cookies that Chick Beatrice had made for him, and while he could make it so that he could touch or even taste them, they would now only ever reflect what he imagined of them. He no longer had any way of knowing what kind of cookies they had truly been. A cloud of golden butterflies then gathers and takes the form of original Beatrice, to act as Battler would expect if someone like her were to try and get him to eat something dubious she had made. Ronave, Virgilia, Gap, and the Seven Sisters of Purgatory all appear to chime in as well. However, when Battler finally does reach for the plate of cookies, everything dissolves into sparkles of gold. Only Battler and the illusory Beatrice remain. Through his dialogue with her, Battler is forced to confront the full weight of his anger and sadness that this Beatrice will never return. Just as she had suffered with the hope that he would remember and take notice, now he too is left yearning for such an impossible miracle. Beatrice tells Battler that he can do whatever he pleases with his innocent Chick Beatrice, torture her to appease his own hatred, or even force her down the same path she once tread. However, even if the two Beatrices are one and the same, they are still different people. Seeing how much anguish Battler's uncertainty of how to treat this new version of herself is causing him, encourages him to instead think of this Chick Beatrice as a daughter she has left behind after passing away. Finally having a guidepost on how to interact with the new Beatrice, Battler realizes just how cruelly he has treated her.
So this is where I started out kind of neutral. Like, I was like, oh, this is giving me more pieces of the puzzle. We've got like 3 Beatrices in this scene. First of all, I was like, yes, Kumasawa, tell him off, because he is a brat. Even in his endless sorcerer phase, he's still a brat. Like, he can't just exhibit a little bit of kindness. Like, come on, dude. You're the game master now. Like, you're supposed to make sure everybody has a good time. Well, I mean, you know. So I was very happy that Kumasawa, even though he's the head of the family, was willing to stand up to him, which, again, made me start questioning her one-winged eagle and if she has one or not, and that apron and all of that stuff. Like, this just gave me a lot more. It just gave me questions, again, I suppose, but gave me, I feel like, things to work with in terms of the Beatrice conundrum and how we are experiencing Battler and these cycles that they are in. Because I know I said this very early on, but everything that we seem to see just seems to reaffirm that. So we've got like essentially Beato's created both versions of these Beatrices that we see, but it seems like the elder sister Beato was maybe the one that was created for Kinzo that we saw in the garden at Kuadorian. That's the impression I'm getting. I don't know if I'm right or not there. And then we've got this baby Beatrice, who is for Battler, but essentially both of these were created by the Beatrice that will no longer be revived. And now that Battler, we know, made some kind of promise to Beatrice, which he obviously forgot about at some point. And so now he is feeling what she was feeling when we saw episode 1, which feels like a lifetime ago at this point. And so we have like a cycle of Beatrices, we have a cycle of battlers, we've got a cycle of the head of the Ushuramias. We've got this cycle of emotions, of the way that people like feel neglected and grieve and all these kind of different things. And everything all just seems to always just come back to this root of love and abandonment.
I definitely pick up what you're putting down, because for me, going through this scene, especially with the art, I just saw a lot of parallels between Battler and Kinzo.
Yeah.
At least the Kinzo that we were shown, which I guess is just Peace Kinzo. So it was all kind of like what she wanted to show Battler Kinzo was, which is an interesting way to think about it. I hadn't thought about that before. But just the sheer lack of understanding how heartbreak affects those around you. Like, you can kind of clearly see, oh, well, he's never had anybody he's cared about like this before. And to think that she's coming back from the dead and the person she's replaced with is just a constant reminder. Like, I can get how that would lead one to make, poor decisions and how it affects that person and everything. It's still a little frustrating to be like, dude, I like this scene only because of how it's complemented by a scene later on in this reading, right? Like how he and the vision Beato that he taught a conversation with, like how she kind of helps him reframe and recontextualize the dynamic between him and Chick Beato. So I do like the groundwork that this kind of lays down for that and kind of where it's going. I also, I don't think they say it here, but I do like how they bring up the whole, like, why do you call him father if like there's like kind of romantic stuff going on? Like, that's weird. I mean, they at least kind of bring up like the terminology is a bit wacky, but yeah, so I like this just because of how it's used shortly hereafter.
I think this was that bit, right?
No, because that's a conversation between Chick and Elder.
Isn't it? You're talking about like later? No, that happens in this segment, but there is later conversations about that to some degree later on.
Yeah,
there's only a little bit more about between Chick and Elder Beatrice about how her relationship with Battler is doomed as well.
Yeah,
in the trials later.
Maybe it's the last reading that I'm thinking of, but either way.
Or did you read ahead? Because there's definitely scenes to come in the future that you could read.
No, I'm usually pretty good about that.
Cheat! I almost skipped past it. I almost missed the line this time.
Somebody here, I know who they are, and their name rhymes with Ben.
You got me. I've read all of this ahead of time.
Yeah, it was Kyle.
At least my name doesn't rhyme with Ben, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slant rhyme, if you don't know what slant rhyme is.
If you're really slanting, yeah.
Lucky for me, I don't.
At first, when Kumasawa was going in on Battler about the cookies, I was a little bit like, oh, she's kind of making this so much worse, like really spotlighting like how cruel it is of him. But then also I was like, he needs to be, like Hayley said before, just like put in his place. It is, I am really glad that talking to his own imaginary in his head, Beato recontextualized for him that baby Beato is like a daughter that she left behind. And again, there comes that father-daughter dynamic, right? Because she's not the same Beato, but interesting to see how it all evolves because it is just so... Chick Beato does make me feel a little bit weird in a way that I can't put my finger on, but I love that she has this agency that she's found with her older sister Beato and is like taking it upon herself to try and make these changes, and hopefully she can learn that devoting herself to Battler isn't like, I hope we find a new reason for her existence other than that.
I just think they're weird. I don't know how to feel about them yet.
I mean, it is weird. I would say the story is pretty blatant about like, this is weird. Of course, they're usually saying that maybe you should think about why it's so weird kind of a way, though.
I don't want to think.
You're the author's worst nightmare. You just stopped thinking, didn't you?
Yeah.
Sure did.
Gonna get stuck in the doldrums, man.
At least there's finally going to be some killing. So. But not yet.
Promises.
Not quite yet, no. We then return to George and Jessica, who suddenly find themselves in a strange room, reminiscent of a Western tea room. Shannon and Kanon are also there, having summoned everyone to this place using the power of the golden butterfly brooch to take part in some kind of trial to determine the successful pair of lovers. George seems to have some idea of what is about to happen, as Shannon had already explained some to him, but Jessica is thoroughly surprised. When Shannon and Kanon bring the two halves of the brooch together, it vanishes in a burst of light and summons a pair of twin demons of love, Zepar and Furfur. Invoking their contract, Zepar and Furfur then summon Beatrice, and are surprised to find that there are two of her as well. Beatrice and the demons then explain the nature of their contract. Now that the brooch has been destroyed, they will grant one single couple whose love is cursed to fail the miracle of their magic. Jessica angrily says that her and Kanon's love doesn't need the help of any shady demons, but the magical beings present all know better. It would seem that Kanon had not yet properly informed her of how his nature as furniture would actually prevent them from being together. Chick Beatrice is likewise confused, and so Beatrice the Elder explains how, without the miracle of magic, Jessica and Kanon's relationship is doomed by an unavoidable fate. When Shannon and George marry and leave the island, Kanon will quit being a servant, leave Rokkenjiima, and Jessica will spend her life unsuccessfully searching for him in anguish. If instead she and Kanon were to be victorious, then Kanon would stay on the island, and the relationship would be able to progress naturally. However, in that version of events, George and Shannon would never become married. Jessica laments that one pair's love must come at the cost of the other's, but Beatrice disagrees. The two of them had decided against all warnings to fall in love with furniture, which could not know love. That even one pair would be allowed to succeed was already defying fate. While Jessica still seems to be coming to terms with the bizarre situation, George is ready to show his determination, and to make his relationship with Shannon succeed. The one thing neither of them can afford to do is to allow this opportunity to pass them by without fighting to their fullest, so there could be no regrets. Beatrice the Elder also explains to Chick Beatrice that she too can participate in this love trial. It would seem that even her relationship with Battler is doomed to fester and rot without the power the butterfly brooch promises. George, Shannon, Jessica, and Kanon all agree to allow Chick Beatrice to participate, and Zepar and Furfur confirm that she had always been intended to be a part of this. And so the trial of lovers begins.
I want to know more about why Chick Beato was intended to be a part of this, because that implies that this is what Battler intended for the game board, which implies that either he knew that Beato was going to be like this, or he needed or wanted revived Beato to be on the board like this.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing.
I have a theory as to why. Maybe because with the way that this part of the reading ends, I think his intention is for her to kill Kanon and Shannon as part of the first sacrifice that's happening.
Yeah, I thought about that as well. I mean, I could even see both Shannon and George being the part of the first. Because we got 5 participants, and the first sacrifice seems to need 6, so someone's got to get a double kill.
Well, because Kyrie and Ava just got murked by George and Jessica. Spoilers for the rest of this reading.
Spoilers.
I can't believe you would spoil that. Wow.
But if Kanon and Shannon die, and then after that, if Jessica and George also die, leaving
That would
Beato
be
as the
6.
winner of the game, that's 6 for the first Twilight.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had been thinking about well, there's only 5 killers. My head had been taking it to that each of them kills 1, but then there's 1 left over. Maybe Beatrice kills 2. But that actually makes more sense to me than my theory. So I'm in. I'm bought in.
What's your theory?
That each of them kill 1, and then there's just a 6th question mark. I didn't think of it that hard.
Or if it becomes murder-suicide situations or mutual murder, I don't know.
Have any of these been suicides? Do we think that any murders in any of the games so far have been suicides? Because my answer is no. I don't think that's fun.
I don't think any of them have been. Kyle's thinking, oh.
We've had it in red, haven't we?
I know some of them have. Some of them have been specified not suicides, but I don't know that all of them have.
Okay.
Yeah. Some deaths have not been specified, yeah.
The only one that I can think of off the top of my head, it's not my primary theory, is in the first episode, the first Twilight. I think one of the 6 is feigning death, and that's the culprit of episode 1. The alternative is they were supposed to kill Natsui, but because she had the charm, they couldn't. So someone died to perpetuate the sacrifice of the first 6, so they laid down their life to do that. That's a possibility. It's not my top theory, but
I could see Shannon.
yeah. What's going to be interesting is we're shown that George and Jessica killed 2 people. So if they end up dead at Chick Beato's hands, that's going to be the mystery for Erika, which is that we have the red of how many humans are on the island. So we're shown as part of the letter, the narrative that Featherine is getting, that Chick Beato done it, presumably. So if it's not Jessica and George, who we know are 2 of the culprits, who would have killed them?
Yeah.
But that's getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. I was about to say, maybe we save this for the end.
Next episode, yeah. But yeah, I can't think of anyone else who I'm this was a suicide. Maybe Kanon in episode 2? We're just given the red that he died in that room.
A lot of them get specified. Yeah. I'd have to check that there's just a lot of red, and a lot of times they do say like all deaths are homicides or they didn't kill themselves, but
Yeah.
Or it wasn't an accident. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to have slipped one or two past where they didn't specify any particular given method of killing.
The only one that really jumps out to me is, I don't remember if this was like episode 3 or 4, but the one where Kumasawa and Goda end up hanging in the shed.
Yeah, that's one of the ones we have like almost no reds for. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 4.
Oh,
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. And it's made to look like a suicide. And again, that's one of my biggest blind spots. I'm still slowly making my way through my binder of Kyle summaries.
Would you call it a suicide if they were forced to do it under coercion? Like, we know you were in league with the culprit or something, right? And we know your kids are going to get money. And if you don't do it, we're going to go to your family and harm them unless you kill yourselves right now. Is that suicide?
Probably not.
I would also answer no.
I don't think so.
It all depends on the rules of the game.
That's what I'm saying is like, with how technical the rules of this game have been, like the act of killing yourself, even if it's at someone else's gunpoint, seems like it could be classified as suicide. But if Kyle's saying no,
I feel like if it was going to be something along those lines, something would have been brought up, and like that's a little.
Yeah, and that's very in line with the Decalogue, right? Like, the culprit must reveal themselves in the first act. Like, the way that this story is like trying to frame mysteries, I feel like they'd be very annoyed if the solution was, we got you. And like, this could even go back to when I was saying that furniture aren't humans. That breaks that red truth of how many humans there are.
Mm-hmm.
If that was a gotcha that they wanted to do, it'd be like, Dlanor would not stand for it. I hope.
Depends on the wording, I think, as to whether or not she would stand for it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of wordplay through this, I think. And I think unless it's very clear, if something can have double meaning, then I think it's allowed through.
And that's been my frustration.
Yeah. I just think it would be a little bit less dubious than like the suicide question, where like that one seems a little too gray to just allow through without any kind of examination.
Yeah, or any foreshadowing or anything, right?
I suppose.
And like, that's like my frustration is like, yes, there are very meticulous rules, but here we are about 70% of the way through, and we have not been given the meticulous rules read off to us.
No?
Well, we have, but they've been given to us piecemeal.
They've been drip fed.
And we have to think, Capelli, we've been breadcrumbed this whole time.
Yeah.
Mr. Policeman, I gave you all the clues.
What do people think of the new characters?
Furfur and Zepar?
Uh-huh.
We had a sneak peek of them at the start of the episode, in the chapel.
They're fine. I like the theatrical nature they bring to it, which is something that's very much missing since Kinzo has basically left the stage. But it's not that deranged Shakespearean, lunacy that's over the top theatrical and super entertaining, in my opinion. But they're fine.
So something that struck me as interesting about these people is as soon as they show up, their movement are described as like being players in a stage play.
Mm-hmm.
And we're watching all of this through the Witch of Theater Goings
Yeah.
whole deal. Okay, interesting. So there's that.
Good connection.
But then I do enjoy their whole vibe. They are strangely menacing. One of them looks like Daisy. I'm into all of that. But did anybody look at their character menu descriptions?
Yes, I did, because of you, Becca, because you keep mentioning that you see them, and I'm like, I always forget. I remembered.
Yeah. But both of them are great demons out of the 72 great demons.
Ooh.
Zepar is blue hair, yes?
Yes. No,
Okay.
Furfur.
No.
Furfur
No.
is the blue
Furfur.
hair.
Is it? Kyle, can you confirm?
I don't know. I don't remember which one is which.
All right, Mr. Expert.
I can look it up.
Okay. But I thought Zepar was the blue hair and Furfur was the daisy looking one.
Zepar has blue hair, Furfur has the orange hair.
Yes.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. But Furfur, I like that the way when they say it in the dialogue with the Japanese accent, it sounds like Furfur to me, which I love. But they control love and tests others through trials. So blue hair Zepar bestows ultimate defensive barrier of immortality, which we see in the Jessica fight, letting someone face any wounds love might cause, which I guess in the George fight, it would be like him surviving all the spider webs and stuff, huh? And then described as a hunter of love who preys upon tame boys. And then Furfur bestows inexhaustible offensive power, allowing you to overcome any barriers of love and a trainer of love who teaches tame boys the taste of flesh.
I don't like that
It's so
at all.
good.
So sinister.
I believe it also says is of a different gender than Zepar,
Yes, they're
Yeah.
both
Yes.
different genders of each other.
but none specified. Yeah.
Yeah, none specified. What genders are they? Probably something alien. Love it. Serving cunt all the time. Incredible performers, clearly. They really know their lane.
Mhm.
So I know we're getting new character fatigue all the time. Hayley, I'm so sorry. But I don't know. I love having something mix it up every now and then, as long as it's not like overwhelming. If it was another thing like the Seven Sisters, if we got like a whole slew of new people all at once,
Oh my god.
I would be losing it. But like 2 at a time like this, that's chill. That's fine.
Yeah, when they first popped on screen, I was like, "Oh, this again!" But the more time they spent on screen, the more I started to enjoy them. So I don't actually dislike these two, like I disliked Erika and Dlanor.
They don't try to steal the spotlight, is what I like about it. They very much, like you said, they understand their lane to add to the scene, not try to take it themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
There's something they do later during the Jessica fight that I'll come back to when we get there. But like the way the narrative describes them, it's almost like making a point to be like, you know how like the Seven Sisters were like abrasive? These demons are kind of classy. Like they're a little in your face, but they're still kind of classy.
They're theater nerds.
Yes, I think they are.
And a lot of theater gets brought up in this episode. In the next segment, we also get someone who is a person that works in the theater mentioned.
Yeah.
Back in the guest house, Erika laments the Battler has used his powers as the game master to place her room too far down the hall for her to eavesdrop on the cousin's room this time. Additionally, it would seem that he has also modified all the duct tape on the island to be insufficiently sticky to qualify as a proper seal. With Erika clearly in a funk, with nothing to do before the crimes begin, Dlanor takes the opportunity to ask the unusually vulnerable detective why she has such a hatred for magic. However, Dlanor is left confused when Erika begins emotionlessly espousing lines of a love confession. However, when she starts listing out numerous seemingly unconnected and inconsequential changes in behavior, it becomes clear that these are all clues that Erika had picked up on that led her to suspect that her partner had been cheating on her. Evidence, circumstantial evidence, observation, surveillance, tracking, tailing, information gathering, wiretapping, asking around, questioning. I found plenty of evidence that I loved you. I found plenty of evidence that you loved me, but I can't find any evidence that you haven't been cheating on me. Without love, it cannot be seen. Ha, that's backwards. Because of love, you end up seeing things that don't even exist. Erika asked Dlanor how she would have responded to Erika's construction of blue truths proving her partner's infidelity. However, with the deck so clearly stacked in Erika's favor, Dlanor was quickly forced to resign. In the end, though, Dlanor asked Erika how that man, as a human unable to use red, was supposed to prove his love to her. Even Erika could not deny the several blue truths that he had been able to put together that showed that he still loved her. Of course, later, Erika used the detective's authority and her power as the Witch of Truth granted by Burncastle to elevate her own evidence alone to red truth. Dlanor leaves, and as the clock strikes midnight, Erika wonders if the first Twilight's murders are occurring out there somewhere right now.
This was nap time for me. For real.
Oh, I loved this part.
Really?
I thought this was so neat.
I didn't mind it.
I thought this sucked.
What?
I dislike this section.
Interesting.
I loved getting a little bit more into Erika and like figuring out why she's so fucked up.
Big agree, Ben.
I thought that was so cool.
But like you can't even say, "Oh, I understand her more because she got cheated on." It's like, no, she maybe got cheated on,
Mm-hmm.
and it could very easily be taken as like, did she gaslight her partner?
Maybe. I think that's great.
Like all I get out of this, could not trust this person.
Uh-huh.
So this as her backstory is like, no, why could she not trust this person? What happened to her before that led her to
Before.
be that way? That's going to be more interesting.
I think it's just that she's truly incapable of trust, right? That seems to be the through line.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah, but why?
Her whole personality, she is the detective. She is always thinking there's a crime being committed.
If you're going to tell me that the rationale for that is because that's how I wrote her, that's boring. That's not good.
Yep. Agree, Capelli. Can't believe we're on the same page. I mean, I didn't mind it, right? It was a little story. It was history for Erika, but
Yeah.
I still don't like her any. I just felt it just feels unnecessary. This segment just felt unnecessary.
I mean, it's fine. Like it does give like a little bit.
I'm sorry. Next time we introduce a character, we'll show their life from birth to the point where they arrive on screen so that you can fully understand them before you can appreciate anything they do.
Yes.
And sure, if they do get into it, like fine. I'm just like, I hope they do. and that this isn't the depth that we get of Erika's background and why she is the way she is.
I feel like this is the tip of the iceberg, learning about this specific breakup that she had.
I agree.
Probably.
But also, her whole function is as a detective, right? Like, if that is who she prides herself on being. She prides herself on being the smartest person in the room all the time and always being 5 steps ahead of everyone else. She is a paranoid person. That is who she is. That is part of her archetype. That is how she is. And that is what makes her suited to be the detective piece, I think. It's not just, they didn't just write her this way to give her this function. Her personality, who she is as a character, informs what her archetype and role is as the detective. So it makes perfect sense to me that she would get suspicious of a partner and have it like spiral into her downfall and the death of her relationship.
How utterly exhausting that kind of personality is for a lot of people in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, she's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wiretapped this man. She is crazy.
But like the whole rationale of like, I have more circumstantial evidence than you, therefore I'm correct.
Because she has to win.
Yeah. Yeah, she thinks she does.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're both correct in the sense of like, yes, she is a character. She's kind of like a justification for a 2-dimensional character, right? She's designed to be this perfect detective, and they are giving some backstory to explain kind of more of her character. But yeah, they're not going fully into depth of like how somebody like this could have come to be. Although she is loosely based off of a character in Higurashi to some degree, so maybe you could count that, but not fully.
And like you can kind of like understand the dynamic between them and like the brief snippet of conversation you seem to have between her and her partner, who is supposedly this director of a play. Once again, theater is being brought up, and how that person is dismissive of her. But I mean, the idea of like, I'm so overwhelmed with work, I don't have the effort to like invest into the relationship right now. And then you blow up at them. Like, I mean, classic, am I the asshole story.
It's written with AI, yeah.
Yeah. Erika's definitely the asshole here, or the crazy person at least.
Yeah.
It's either YTA or ESH. You're the asshole or everyone sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot of Am I the Asshole stuff on Facebook because that's what my entire Facebook feed is now, and I really need to stop. But this is such a Am I the Asshole story. Now that you mention it, it's so good.
I love Am I the Asshole post that's very clearly like taken from like a fictional character's perspective, and you figure out halfway through like what the person writing it is doing. That's always fun. So that's a fun little comparison between what we're seeing here.
What I really love about this scene is not necessarily the Erika backstory of it all, but the interplay between her and Dlanor. I love that Dlanor is trying to understand and also trying, I think, to kind of make Erika explain herself to see if Erika will change her stance at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because it reminds me of the scene in the Rose Garden where Dlanor is talking to Battler.
Yes.
Where she's like, I don't hate magic. I hate like the deceptive nature of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so she's like trying to understand, like, where is all this coming from? And is this all really necessary? And have you ever tried thinking about it from a different perspective? And I also think that's so important for a detective as well. You can't ever get too locked into like one way of thinking. So Erika finally being challenged by someone she's willing to listen to, who she kind of sees maybe somewhat as a peer. She's really denigrating to Dlanor, but she also has this moment of vulnerability with her where she tells her, like, you must feel exhausted being around me. Like, this must suck for you, essentially acknowledging that. And I don't know. I really enjoy that this is them kind of trying to understand each other, even though they're such good frenemies. I love it so much.
I don't think Erika is trying to understand Dlanor in the slightest.
I think Erika is starting to wake up to the idea that she wants friends and that maybe friendship is possible with Dlanor, even if she doesn't like realize that yet.
Maybe. I see a respect for Dlanor starting to bud.
Yeah, I mean, she clearly respects Dlanor, even though, like, Dlanor is so powerful. She knows that if she doesn't know anything else. So I think she always respects that, even when she's insulting her. But shout out to Trev in the Discord for that gif of like tucking Dlanor and Erika into bed and like
and
petting
then
them
rubbing
with
the
mouse.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of those
Like-
for characters in Umineko, yeah.
Now I see where that comes from now, and I'm very excited to see how their like dynamic develops, because this feels like it's like last reading we got Dlanor and Gertrude and Cornelia all being like, "Oh my fucking god, can we stop this? Like this is so unnecessary, so childish."
Oh, with the battle between with Maria.
With Maria, yeah. And then now with Dlanor like not letting it go and being like, "I'm not just going to ignore this." Like, what the fuck was that kind of thing? So
Yeah. The thing I've come to really like about scenes with Dlanor is she's rarely the focus, yet she always seems to add so much to the scene.
And every scene that Dlanor is on, we should all be asking, where's Dlanor?
where's Dlanor? She's my best friend. I love that she's kind of doing my favorite thing where she's literally asking the characters like, "What's your motivation here?" Which is my shit.
Yeah.
I love it. So
I hope Dlanor doesn't die on the way back home to her home planet.
What a cheerful thought.
Well, Kyle referenced The Simpsons, so I had to.
With this part in the and the later part with Kyrie, you really get the impression that this episode, it is the answer arcs, right? Like everyone is very much spilling their guts. All the subtext is now text. Everything's heightened. Everything that was bubbling under the surface is now being more apparent.
the one last thing I forgot to mention is the other thing Dlanor points out to Erika is like, not only was that fight with Maria childish, you clearly didn't get anything out of it. Like, what did that do for you?
Mhm.
Was that fun for you? It doesn't look like it. So, I don't know. Reflect on your choices.
All right. Up next is one of my favorite parts of Umineko. I fucking love this fucking scene. In the rainy night, under the eaves of the guest house, George informs Eva of his engagement to Shannon. At first, Eva explodes in anger, assuming that Shannon has somehow tricked or trapped George into the engagement. However, George makes it abundantly clear that he is marrying Shannon because he loves her. He is not here to consult his mother, nor seek her blessing, but to simply inform her of his decision that he and Shannon have made together. Eva, in denial that this could be happening, implores George to let her take care of things and make sure that he marries someone sufficiently qualified to be his life partner. When she brings up the girl that she had been trying to set him up with, George quickly shuts her down, saying that she only wants him to marry this woman to benefit her own social and financial situation. Eva then breaks down in tears and begs George to let her take care of things as his parent and make sure that he takes the correct path. At first, it seems like George may relent, uncomfortable with upsetting his mother so, but stepping out into the rain, George faces Eva, not as her child, but as a man who will not let anything stand between him and the future he has set out for himself and his chosen partner. George announces that it is time for them both to drop all pretenses of parent and child, and, as individuals, say what they really mean. Having learned from his parents, friends, and Sayo over many years of growth, he has finally managed to create a genuine self, the real Ashurmia George. However, as he vows to overcome this final barrier and rushes towards Eva, she suddenly vanishes. Instead, facing him from the rainy sky above is none other than the cruel manifestation of Eva's inner self, Eva Beatrice. Using the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West as a metaphor, Eva Beatrice describes how their years of tutoring and sacrifice have cultivated who George is today. No, like Sun Wukong discovering that he never escaped the 5 pillars of Buddha's hand, George is still being nurtured by Eva's loving womb, and has yet to even take his first step into the real world. Wrapping George up in her sticky red spiderwebs, Eva Beatrice brutally throws George around the rose garden until he is ready to submit to her total authority over his life. However, even then, George stands back up, hitting her with the most devastating blow of all, a quote from Francis Bacon. George tells his mother of all the things Sayo has taught him. Ironically, almost all the same things that Eva has said are so wonderful about George didn't come from her or her tutoring at all. Furious, Eva Beatrice tries once again to entangle him in her red web, but George has accepted more than enough pain from her to repay his debts, and shows that he could have escaped her webs at any time. Now their mother-son fight can begin in earnest. After an intense mixed martial arts battle, the love of magic empowering George allows him to completely destroy Eva's heart with a single kick, despite no external wounds of any kind. Summoning Gap to move his mother's body to the VIP room of the mansion, George returns to the realm of Zepar and Furfur, having successfully completed his trial. Similar to the headship test of Beatrice's 4th game, each of the would-be lovers is tasked with taking a life. While this killing is only a piece on the game board, only George have been sufficiently resolved. With no one else stepping forward, Zepar and Furfur begin to announce George and Shannon's victory. However, despite her hesitations, Jessica refuses to concede. She will be the next challenger.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Lame.
Lame. I mean,
I hated it.
you hated it?
I thought it was fine. Like I said earlier in this episode, I thought this was very expected, and nothing about what happened there surprised me. I know it's one of your favorite scenes, Kyle, and I think the meaning is there, but like the actual things that happen are boring.
Yeah, it just felt really cringy as well to me. It was like, oh, this is just awkward.
You have no love for George. That's fair.
I love, and you know I love George, Kyle. Hold on, I want to be very clear. I do love George as a character, and I thought he had some very good story beats here. I thought that
Mhm.
it meant a lot, but none of it was unexpected. None of it made me go, wow, I can't believe this is happening, because it was very foreshadowed.
Mhm.
What happens after this is not foreshadowed in the fucking slightest, which makes it so much more of a wow moment to me. And this just felt like going along par for the course. And as I mentioned earlier, I didn't realize that we are actually trying to see George kill Ava for realsies.
Mhm.
Because it was Ava Beatrice there. Like, it didn't mean anything to me. Like, I'm just like, oh, they're just two witches fighting. Where's the proof? Well, it's the same kind of thing for when they fought in the garden in episode 3. And like, oh, where's the proof that any of this happened? No one's discovered the dead bodies yet. There's no Monokuma ding 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 like in Danganronpa. So like, how do we know that this actually happened? I don't know. It felt very esoteric and predicted, yet still very in character for both of them.
I think you could use the word esoteric, great choice, by the way, to describe a lot of Umineko, to describe a lot of the, like, what is really happening here.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
What I liked about this is I didn't realize that this was the start of the first Twilight. I think when that switch flipped, I thought that was like very cool. I was like, oh, and that's why they were very descriptive of he stopped an inch from her chest and there was no entry wound, but there was an exit wound. Like, all right, so that's what the others are going to find the body looking like. And so, like, I think it was cool. I think I also very much agree with Hayley that it was kind of cringe with the understanding of like, ah, yes, I remember when I was 18 or 21 or whatever George's age is, and thinking like, yes, I have life figured out. Kind of
Mhm.
understand Eva and her rationale better.
Yep.
I don't agree with it, but like as a parent myself, it's like, yeah, I get it. Like very much like he's like, you are only doing this to further your own desires. And it's like, you don't fucking get it. Like I have worked hard to basically give you a huge edge in life and trained you so that you are ready for it. And it's not responsibility thrust on you that you cannot handle. Think of what you can do with the gifts that I have tried to give you. And I mean, if it makes me look better, if it helps me get my own means, that's a great secondary thing. Like, I feel like he's not wrong, but he's missing the point that she is genuinely doing what she thinks is best for him. Is she right? I don't think she's 100% right, but I feel like not all of her good intentions are on the path to hell. And it's really hard also to empathize with a person who's like, I love this person so much, I'm going to kill my mom.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a difficult motivation to root for, even though they're very much saying in the next scene, it's not real, it's not real. We all know we're on the game board, we know it's not real. You could put a fake my mom in front of me and tell me kill her, or, you know, I'm not going to have a successful marriage. And I'm not going to be like, yep, I'm going to stand in the rain, look at all gloomy, and fight her.
That makes George the new Demon King.
I don't know. Watching this fight, I think it is giving Ava a lot of grace to say that any of her desires are secondary to wanting to give George a good life. Like at best, they are tied. I do think a lot of it is, I think she loves George in her own fucked up way, but I also don't think, like, I do think she is putting her own desires before his at pretty much every turn. And I think the manifestation of that is the fact that she turns into Ava Beatrice and is like, get back in my womb.
Yeah.
You know, which is like an exaggeration of it. But that being made manifest has to mean that that feeling exists in her already. I feel it's like, you know, taking it to the biggest extreme, her berating him for everything she did for him. And I also think, like, going back to something Ben was saying about how, like, what does this mean in real life, him killing his mother? Well, I think it's what we've been seeing this whole time, right? We're taking it with a grain of salt that anytime we see witchcraft or magic happen, that there is some kind of human explanation for it that we are not yet privy to because we need to figure it out. So George killing his mom in this ritualistic battle where he kicks her heart out isn't literally how it would happen in the real world, but that's what we're seeing because we're watching the witch version.
But it's understandable that Ben is disappointed because then we're still waiting for that to happen, right? Then we still can't even speculate yet. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I do look forward to how it reflects on the game board because it also calls into question, like, if they are aware of the fact that they're killing pieces on the game board, but they also themselves are pieces, Battler is doing this weird, interesting mix of meta for whatever game board he has developed here, where the pieces are self-aware. Like, I feel like we've seen games in the past where, like, our main characters are self-aware. I don't know. There have been times even when the Battler piece isn't quite self-aware.
Yeah, in terms of pieces on the board itself, aware of what's happening, I think we've only really seen the furniture seem to be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that the cousins are, because they're having these relationships with the furniture and love is making everything messy, they're also self-aware now. So that is an interesting wrinkle that I have no idea how that's going to play out.
Do you think that this is the answer to the first Twilight every time?
That George kills his mom?
That the people who are seeking love are the ones causing the deaths?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'll get into it more in the next section.
I agree with all of you and everything you have said. I don't just think that George was cringe here. I think Ava was cringe. I think the whole thing was cringe.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair.
I just think it was like the worst side of Eva in Eva Beatrice we've seen. It was George having those like very teenage, I am a real man moments that were just like, oh my God, get this over with. This is...
It's fan fiction-y. It really is.
Yeah, yet there were good story beats, like Ben said. It was all just... I just didn't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the like over-the-top fight style. I don't enjoy George, which made this extra hard. I don't like any of them for the most part, right? There aren't many characters in this that I actually like, but I am invested in most of their stories, and this did give us that story that we were expecting, but we still, we don't have resolution, like you're saying, Kyle, so that makes it fall really, really flat.
Okay.
So this isn't just George hate. It isn't why I disliked it. I just disliked most things about it, honestly, which is a shame.
I will say it is really funny to me how in the art, the way they kind of like started drawing George more determined, like halfway through this altercation when he says, I've finally become the real George Ushirimiya, whatever, is they kind of just make his mouth slightly more crooked and frowny. Like he's becoming a little bit more of a bad boy. Like, I'm not going to stand for this. And it's very funny
the thing I noticed in the same vein was his glasses weren't like steamed up anymore. Like he wasn't frustrated. Like he had control of himself, and so his glasses don't get steamed anymore. Like,
real Shinji's dad hours with George over here.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. Like, it's definitely more, I don't know how to describe it. Like, cringy is definitely a word you can describe it. Like, it's very heightened is another way to put it. Like, it's over the top in a lot of ways. I think that describes a lot of what's happening in this episode. This episode is just very heightened.
Yeah.
And so you get the glazing of George. You get Eva being even more evil than normal, but also you get in the writing more flowery. I really loved the metaphor of, I was going to say Five Goes West, but that's not the Journey to the West. We get the story of Journey to the West, which is like a really cool like metaphor for like the days of the week. And so I thought that was all really, really well put together.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
When they brought up Journey to the West, actually, I was like, oh, here we go. That actually was kind of a sign for me of like, oh, we're comparing George to Sun Wukong now for real.
Yeah.
Like, this is what's happening. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was, I feel you, Kyle. I'm totally on board. It is getting genuinely, especially with the Erika and Dlanor scene that preceded this, like soap opera-y. In a way that I know that I'm Mr. Good Time, and I generally don't have a lot of critiques of this, but I had a great time this whole reading. I thought the scene was still really good, and I do respect George in it. I do respect that he stands his ground and is actually like, you say all this shit, and none of it actually means anything because I see right through you, and I respect it.
But I also agree that I think Capelli has some good points of like, it depends on how charitable you are to Eva, right? Like this perspective definitely seems to be taking the, no, Eva does not love George as much as she claims she is using him. Therefore, Eva Beatrice is the one in control. But you could definitely view her actions in a much more charitable light. So
Yeah. Well, and the thing, I don't think Capelli's wrong either. I think Eva
Mhm.
really does love George in her own way, but her loving him and also being a shitty parent and not putting his needs above her own desires are not mutually exclusive things. I think both things are true.
yeah, because she definitely wants his needs, but she doesn't respect his agency, right? Like,
Yes.
Yes, spot on.
she views him as someone who is not deserving to make their own choices yet. So this is a 23-year-old man, by the way. Just making sure for the record. In the 80s too, it's like nowadays I'm like, oh, he's 23, he's a child. But like, no, I think in the 80s in Japan, I think a 23-year-old would be pretty thoroughly expected to be their own man at this point. Back in the mansion, Kyrie is taking a break from the family conference. Just being there trying to support Rudolph was exhausting, even though she was not permitted to speak. No, not being able to speak up was what made it especially exhausting. Trying to cool her head in the corridor on the second floor after Rudolph wanted some time to be alone, she suddenly finds that Jessica has appeared in the corridor behind her. When Kyrie asks Jessica why she is all the way out here, Jessica makes up a lie about going to her room to get a book. Apparently, instead of shooting a specific target the way George had done with Eva, Jessica's decided to leave her kill up to the roulette of fate. However, still not fully prepared to just take a life like this, Jessica misses the opportunity to attack Kyrie while her back is turned. Instead, Jessica takes this opportunity to ask Kyrie for love advice. While she can't fully explain what's going on, Kyrie is at least able to figure out that Jessica's in a situation where she'll have to trample on someone else's happiness in order to secure her own. Kyrie explains that, while doing so may be painful, failing to do so would force you to crawl through hell for the rest of your life. Ange, in the world of spectating, chimes in that she had uncovered a lot of the truth of the darkness in Kyrie's heart from reading through her journals after her death. Although it would take several years for Ange to be able to understand the sad and painful complexity of those pages full of Kyrie's curse-filled inner thoughts. Since Ange had grown up in a household entirely separated from the memory of Osamu, and Kyrie was masterful at hiding her real feelings, Ange had no idea the depth of Kyrie's hatred for Osamu, and by proxy, Battler. Apparently, in Rudolph's school days, he had been quite the player, attracting multitudes of hangers-on by virtue of his charisma and willingness to throw money around. While Kyrie may have initially been one of such girls, she shrewdly made herself invaluable to Rudolph as a partner in his money-making schemes and swindles. Confident that she was the most important woman to him in the world, Kyrie grew cocky and made the mistake of letting Osamu get too close to Rudolph. While Kyrie had cemented herself as Rudolph's business partner, Osamu had slightly become the one who could support him emotionally. When Rudolph managed to get both Kyrie and Osamu pregnant, Osamu had been the one to quickly and openly approach him about it, and thus was able to marry Rudolph before Kyrie even knew she too was pregnant. Kyrie, continuing to spill her guts to Jessica, even goes as far as to speculate that Osamu's fear of vehicles may have just been a ploy to trigger Rudolph's protective instincts. However, this next part, even till this day, she couldn't bear to tell. When she had been pregnant with Rudolph's child, she had hoped that then she could at least be his second wife and raise their child to be superior to Osamu's. However, even that was denied to her, when, on the same day, Osamu had given birth to Battler, and Kyrie's child had been stillborn. Kyrie lost everything. As Kyrie explained to Jessica, the one thing she truly regrets was her arrogance. Arrogance that Rudolph's love could never be stolen from her. A relationship must be nurtured, and only then will it bear the fruit called love. However, that is not the end of it. For love to be realized, it must be harvested. Love that is carelessly left on the vine can rot, or even be stolen by someone else. The regret of failing to harvest that love, when you had the chance, and losing it, is hell itself. To keep that love that she crawled through hell to claw back, she would do anything, possibly even murder. Kyrie says that she was quite lucky. Her hell ended after just 18 years. Her absolute certain willpower was answered with a miracle by her masters, and Osamu had died. No, the miracle wasn't that Osamu had died. After 18 years, Kyrie had finally prepared to kill Osamu herself, and so Osamu was fated to die no matter what. No, the miracle had been that Kyrie hadn't had to dirty her own hands to do it.
Oh my god, this was my favorite scene.
So good.
It's a fantastic scene.
This was the
so
roller
good.
coaster.
This feels very soap opera-y. The entire thing felt like a soap opera monologue, which I just absolutely loved.
She's from a mob family. Yes.
I'm coming to accept that that's just the vibe that Kyrie gives.
Yes.
She's great.
I love it because she doesn't look like she will. She is that character I immediately was drawn to because she's the strong female detective-like character, in my opinion. That's a vibe she gives off, especially in episode 1, and then she dies quick. So just to get more of her backstory and realize how much of a different character they actually wrote her to be is so interesting. I've loved her since the beginning, and I still continue to this day to say Kyrie is the best. It's just for very different reasons than I initially thought.
Fair.
Yeah.
She's scary.
I love it.
She's kind of scary.
She's terrifying.
Yes, agreed. 100% agree. but like she's a little bit of a sociopath.
She fits right in with the family then.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, it makes sense if she's
It makes sense now.
yeah.
They all do.
I mean, she would have to be a sociopath to marry into a rich family and be all about economics, but
Yeah. I mean, if you look at all of the husbands/wives, like that married into the family, Hideyoshi, Kyrie, Natsui, like all three of them are sociopaths in like different ways. Like Hideyoshi hides it really well because he hides it under the same kind of like business acumen behind like good business that isn't always good business. You almost kind of have to be somewhat sociopathic to be able to lead companies like that in the first place, to think in that way. And all of them fit into the family a lot more than they probably think they do, I think.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. This scene was so good. This scene was everything. This is everything. Well, okay, not everything. This was so almost everything. This is like the kind of stuff that I've been looking for since I had my two battlers idea. I am now more convinced that there were baby swapping shenanigans going on. So Rudolph was at the hospital when she gave birth. How do we know what happened in that hospital room? We don't know if the baby truly died or if she was just told the baby died.
Sure.
And then we have the scene with Kumasawa handing a baby over to Natsui, who throws off a cliff. Maybe the battler that actually grew up as Asumu's son is actually
Is
Kirie's
Kirie's son.
baby. Yes. Yes. And all this hatred that she has directed to this battler is actually unfounded because he is her actual flesh and blood and not Asumu's.
Yeah, very possible. I could see that working.
I was so excited to read this. I was so like excited and scared of Kyrie when she was like, and I would murder. And I was like, I believe you. Absolutely. I think you would murder this whole house.
My jaw dropped because I thought that was her confession that she killed Asumu.
I mean, it's her
Yeah,
confession
me
that she was
too.
planning to kill Asumu.
And then the next line clears up that she was going to, but she died before she could do it herself.
Yeah. I loved that.
She was destined to die either way. I'm like, that is
Yeah.
cold.
Some cold shit.
That is such
Metal.
good writing
Yeah.
for a character I love so much.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Ugh.
Oh my
I
God.
love that all the recent readings for Hayley have included at least one section that's like, here's how two battlers can still win. I'm so excited.
I don't know what Asumu's battler is.
What this makes me all think back on is when Rudolph tells Battler that he has a secret that he believes he will be killed over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. This all ties together.
I was just thinking about that back in episode 1.
And in 5, yeah.
Who would kill him for a secret likely related to this? And I think that would cause Kyrie to turn on her husband to learn that she has been lied to for many years, that her son is not dead.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
But didn't they both die? They both died in episode 1 together.
Yes, they did.
Sure.
Yeah, but we've just seen lovers killing for their lovers, and maybe one of them killed the other.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think that the way that Kyrie thinks is she'll do anything for Rudolph, even if Rudolph lied to her about this.
I don't know. I think when a child comes into play.
Betrayal will make you second guess everything.
I don't know.
I think she is capable of anything. The way she talks about how she essentially systematically like infiltrated Rudolph's friend circle to get as close to him as she possibly could, and then like systematically picked off every other woman in his life is so crazy. And
Bristle.
it's incredible, like truly fantastic. But it also leads me to think like she could snap. Like I absolutely believe she could snap and kill Rudolph if her envy swallows her whole, which we're going to get to. But like, I really like what happens at the end of this fight.
Mhm.
But yeah, if she were to be completely consumed by like rage resulting from years of all of this jealous shit pent up in her to learn that her son has been alive this whole time, I wouldn't put it past her.
Kill them all. Kill them all, Kyrie. I hope she did it.
Yeah.
Along with Kumasawa, I really feel like, because like Kumasawa is the only other one that we really see like give people shit about like doing wrong things. I could see Kumasawa being somebody who snaps in the same way that Kyrie could be a snap. I'm now, there's something there. And I think that because we saw Kumasawa hand that baby off to Natsui, I think there's something there that links them together. And, with us knowing that Kumasawa's kid was taken care of after all this went down, this just give us more little threads. I will say, I did message Kyle about one thing about this scene that really bothered me.
Which is?
We've got another date issue, but Ben will be happy to hear that this gives me more faith in George, because in this he says that Kyrie says it was after 18 years, but Battler is only 18 in this now. So that baby would have been born 18 years ago, but we know Asumu died 6 years ago. So it was actually 12 years that Asumu died after everything.
Yeah, so this is a known mistake. It's hard to call anything. It's hard to call certain things mistakes outright. But the community consensus is that Kyrie should have said 12 years ago as opposed to 18 years ago. Because if you're looking at it, Asumu died 6 years ago, right? Her hell ended between the time Battler was born and Asumu died is 12 years, not 18 years.
Oh, that makes sense.
Although the author may just wanted to say 18 just to hammer home the timeline a bit, because 18 is a number that comes up a lot.
Sure does.
Yeah. But so it irritated me at first, but then I was like, no, this makes the George Shannon situation make sense to me now. If we're going to get dates wrong, then okay, I accept that George is supposed to be a teenager.
Yeah, it does show at least that there is at least some mistakes in the timeline, yeah. Which is frustrating because the timeline is important. It's not something you can just throw out. So it's why I think it's important to point out that I think this by itself is just a mistake. If you can consider her saying 12 years to be effectively canon, I think that's fair. The George stuff is just, there's no really excuses for that. But
sorry, I dominated the conversation a little bit there, but that scene was so exciting.
Oh no, you're good. It's an incredible scene.
Yeah, I do love that it's we're getting this really dark view of love, right? Because we've seen a lot of sides of it throughout this whole story. And the thing with George and Shannon is about how pure their love is and how George is going to fight with it no matter what. And he's going to fight with it with everything. He's going to kill his mother for it. That is how strong and pure their love is. And then Kyrie is over here girl, you have to be willing to rip apart everything in your path for the chance at love. And sometimes it takes you 12 or 18 years of hell to get that love. It goes back to earlier in the story, the first time we see Shannon with the golden butterfly brooch, it's kind of a monkey paw situation. Yes, even if you win this trial, whoever ends up winning, what's to say another trick like that isn't waiting? I mean, we all believe Beato has turned a corner, and I mean, it's a bit of a different situation now, but still, it's what are the circumstances of that happy ending going to be? And Kyrie kind of puts that fear in you. Yeah. In
episode 2, Beatrice even said, when Kanon confronted her, that no, George and Shannon are still doomed, right? That was the earlier implication was that, even this was just to edge you on into a bad situation. But now we're saying that it's going to somehow resolve whatever is preventing them, which is still unclear.
Yeah. And still, what's to say that everyone's relationships are doomed? Anyway, yeah.
You have to think about it. The story keeps being man, sure is weird. Sure is weird.
And with the meta nature of this whole setup that Battler has concocted, the fact that these pieces are interacting with those demons, and that's where we're hearing all of these rules from, that they're all doomed and only one love can survive, is how much of that is part of this game board versus, I don't know. I feel it must be part of the game board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something we'll talk about more as I think the story progresses, because that is an open question that I think there's a good argument to be had about exactly how much of this is a part of what Battler had originally planned or not. So we shall see. After thoroughly shocking Jessica with her confession, Kyrie apologizes. She'd only meant to impart to her the seriousness and danger of such situations. Love is like playing with fire. Anyone can play easily and lightheartedly, but when you mess up and get burned, that scar stays with you your whole life. When Kyrie then turns away to return to the family conference, Jessica, now filled with determination to see her trial through, goes in for the kill. However, Kyrie, having come close to getting stabbed in the back before, and already being on guard ever since Jessica had lied about why she was here in the hall in the first place, manages to sense the sneak attack coming and dodges by a hair's breadth. When Jessica begins showing supernatural levels of destructive power, though, Kyrie is forced to flee for her life in confused panic. Summoning Rabe, Jessica seals off all methods of escape and closes in for the kill. However, recognizing that they are now in a world of magic and nightmares, Kyrie is able to summon Leviathan of Envy to pierce Jessica through the head. Unfortunately for Kyrie, though, Jessica is empowered and protected by the great demons of love, and thus is invincible during their trials. Quickly assessing their options, Kyrie uses Leviathan to unlock the door to Krause's study and locks herself inside. Using the disparity of time spent suffering with jealousy between herself and Jessica to slow her movements, Kyrie then abuses Beatrice's locked room definition to prevent Jessica from killing her through the door. Without a valid closed room murder trick, the room that had first looked to become Kyrie's coffin had become her bastion. However, Jessica surprises everyone and does just that. With such a method imagined, Kyrie is burned alive inside of her locked room. Leaving Runaway to clear up the mess, Jessica likewise returns to Zepar and Furfur's realm and clings to Kanon, sobbing. With their trial complete, Shannon, Kanon, and Beatrice remain. When each initially hesitates to go next, they accidentally end up all volunteering at the same time. The ones they love had already shown their determination. They had to carry on. And that brings us to the end of this week's reading.
So I do think that, to me, that entire description did gloss over the fact that that was a locked room that somehow Jessica knew how to kill her in. And that's something that we as readers have read 6 timelines and have not figured out necessarily how this has been happening. And that's where it shocked me. And I said this earlier. It's just like, that is just such a wild, out of nowhere thing. I'm like, oh, Kyrie may get away. I in no world envisioned that she would somehow make a locked room murder happen.
I fully thought Jessica was going to get beat there. I was really concerned.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, it shocked me. But then I was like, oh my God, I get it. I understand.
You do?
What do you understand?
The circumstances exist. So it's about the envy thing, right? Kyrie is using her envy as a way of repelling Jessica because Jessica, like, they do all of the mathematical calculations, right? It's like that thing with Krause in episode 4.
It was so good. I love the math.
So, like, Kyrie has the edge and is closing the door, and that's what protects her in the locked room, right? Jessica then weaponizes Kyrie's envy to burn her alive with it. It's magic. It is magic. I don't know what the literal, real world analog for it would be, but in the magic realm, she is using the same tool that has been established that exists in Kyrie to kill her with it, is how I read it. But that is completely the fantasy side. But I thought it was really cool.
It was cool.
Do you think we're going to get Witch Jessica?
Well, because the way they describe it, right, in the reading itself, I don't remember the exact wording, but she presents her reasoning to the demons who then can make the magic happen, right? Like, she's not directly doing it herself. They're elevating it.
She announces that she has a trick that can kill within a locked room. She announces that she has some kind of trick in mind. And then Runaway's like, that's valid. And then the magic kills her.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm so curious if the fire is literal. I think that would be really cool if there's some kind of way that she literally burned Kyrie alive in there.
Yeah, like at the scene when she's like, Runaway, clear this up. And he's like, I don't even know what to do with this. Okay.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do? And also, yeah, I love that the demons that Jessica and George fought in the previous episode are helping them now clean up the messes and stage these murders for the Twilight.
Well, same with Kyrie. She fought envy, and then there's envy helping her out.
Yep.
I like the parallel to Krause's math puzzles of episode 4. And so, because in that we had a Dragon Ball Z reference, right?
Yes.
And now we've got One Punch Jessica. This made me think that part of, so, I was saying how magic is some kind of agreement. The agreement here to get the kids to kill is part of the magic that's going on. And Shannon and Kanon are acting in the interests of that magic in order for these challenges to happen, for the actual murders to occur on the island. So that there is this, like Capelli was saying about the murder if it's coercion. Yes, I think that there is an argument that in the real world, if we take the magic away from it, that there is maybe some force of them pressuring each other to kill on the behalf of those that they love. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool motive. Still murder.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
I do want to learn a lot more about the why done it in terms of the game board and not necessarily just the esoteric killing for love. What is the impetus? What is the impetus for starting these murders off in the first place for each episode is one of the biggest questions I have.
Sure.
What makes them change between episodes?
To me, the most important thing that we've gotten regarding the game board is that nobody can act on the game board outside of what their true nature would allow. Jessica and George could actually be capable of this, and that is chilling. Like, that brings some good heft to it's just a game board. It's not real. It's like, motherfucker, apparently you would actually do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seemed too easy for George.
Yeah.
I have a feeling everybody on this island is a killer, including Maria.
Oh, for sure.
Maria was the easiest one to clock as a killer.
There's an implication with George's case that he's had like more time to think about this, right?
Yeah.
Like when everything's kind of revealed to him, it's implied that Shannon has like talked to him more about what's happening, so he seemed a bit more prepared overall. Whereas Jessica was blindsided with it and was still coming to terms with things. Doesn't make George any weirder for being like, yeah, I'll kill my mom. But yeah, there's at least some justification for it.
There's something about Shannon and Kanon
Yeah.
as far as their motives and their implication in all this. I don't know. I can't in good conscience say I believe right now that they are completely innocent.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I'm still on that suspicion train with you from last reading. Don't know what's up with them. There's something screwy going on there for sure.
Yeah. All of the furniture, I think, are working in cahoots with whoever the true culprit is in order to carry out the murders. Not necessarily directly themselves, as we're seeing now, but to make them happen in some way by sowing some kind of discourse.
I just had a thought. In episode 2, we get this seemingly throwaway scene with Kinzo and the furniture talking about his will. That's never brought up again.
It definitely didn't happen.
Well,
at least not as depicted, yeah.
Kinzo did.
It was important for some reason. And the only people present that are not Kinzo were just the furniture, seemingly getting some sort of information about his will. And then we have Kumasawa's kids and Nanjo's kids receiving some sort of money, and the Ange, flash forward. So it's almost like the furniture got together to divvy up some sort of money, and like that, the motivation is like this family has to go down or something. And it's just making me think, like, what is the purpose of that scene with the will? And because Shannon and Kanon are both very much present for that, I believe. And
so Genji and Shannon are there when he's doing the will itself, and then Rosa goes up and collects them at some point.
yeah.
This is making me think that the why, who's orchestrating all of this? This all feels like I can make this tie back to Kyrie again. There's this like revenge for Kyrie orchestrated by her and her family, who we know now from episode 4 is like a big mafia family, that they were trying to get their hands on the Ushirimiya gold. And this was all just, I can't think of Kirie's family name, but the fact that her sister is still pursuing Ange even 12 years later, or however long it was, because maybe the plan went wrong, but the payment for Kumasawa and Nanjo was for their kids to be kept okay.
The only reference that we have from her sister talking about Kyrie is that she didn't look up to her, she didn't really like her. There was a lot of animosity between the two of them, supposedly.
Yeah, but she was supposed to secure the Ushirimiya family's money for their own purposes, so that could breed some hatred. And then it all went wrong because Ange didn't actually come to the island, because probably Kyrie wanted to protect her kid, and so that leads into the why her sister would hate her so much, because she didn't secure it for the whole family.
I can give you some facts about that situation.
No, don't do that. It ruins it for me.
How dare you ruin her perfectly logical and sound argument.
So the Sumadera family is Sumadera Kasumi is her sister. And one of the things that she says when she's like having her guards beat Ange while she's like lamenting her hatred for her sister, she says that Kyrie, as the older sister, had an arranged marriage that she abandoned to get together with Rudolph. And so she, as the younger sister, was then forced to take up the head of the family and take on her marriage instead.
Yeah, because the plan went wrong.
Doesn't sound like the kind of people who would be working in cahoots, if you ask me.
What? No, it does. It adds to it. I think it adds to it because, Kyrie was supposed to secure, she was so confident in her own, economical abilities and extreme business savviness to secure the Ushirimiya money. And even though it was going to take her 18 years and she would have to kill for it, but she didn't have to in the end.
And it's noted that her family did not punish Kyrie for abandoning her position. And that's one of the things that Kasumi resents her for.
Because she was going to get Ushirimiya gold.
I'm with you, Hayley. I think I think it is a two-pronged thing. I think she is into Rudolph and also is like, this is how I can win and get my way and not have to do this stupid arranged marriage. I can convince my family to not be mad at me by saying like, yeah, I'm going to bag this guy and also get his family's inheritance. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she was like, look, I'm pregnant.
Look, I'm stealing this deal
Oh, yeah, right?
until everything blows up.
And then, they snatch the baby away from her. And she thinks that baby Battler 2 is dead. And he's not. And, normal things. Perfectly same theories.
Definitely not a soap opera whatsoever.
I also love Jessica's weird, like, cat eyes.
Oh, yeah. When she goes murder eyes, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting to me that there was that stark contrast between this scene and the George scene, right? Where George is like having this very adult moment of like self-actualization and being like, I'm going to kill you, mom, so that I can become a real man. And Jessica is over here with like doll cat eyes. Like the text describes them as blank doll eyes. And she's going like murder bot mode on Kyrie. I don't really have an idea on why that difference really exists, but it is really weird to me. Like Kyle keeps saying, it's all fucking weird. It's all really weird.
Yeah, it's because George is horrible and found it easy to do, whereas Jessica has to like basically disassociate from herself in order to murder her aunt. Not even like her parents, an aunt.
Yeah.
Her aunt who just admitted to being like an evil murderer, theoretically.
Yeah, who was planning to kill her other aunt. Like, okay.
It is very funny that it's like a we're not so different kind of thing, because Jessica's like, it's what you said that is making me able to do this. Like, without what you said, I wouldn't be able to go through with this. So thank you.
And to be fair, like, Kyrie is like, game recognizes game. Yeah, she's fine with it until she shows magical powers. And she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. She's like, you're not getting me, bitch. Oops, you got me. But yeah, I like the dissociation aspect that you said, Hayley. I hadn't really considered that, but I like her having to kind of put up some kind of wall between her and this thing that she's doing that she's really not prepared to do.
Yeah, and when she finishes it, her eyes change back.
She like snaps out of it.
And then she starts crying, yeah.
Yeah,
she does. That's cool.
She really did that for you, Kanon. She really proved herself.
I'm surprised we didn't mention Oedipus at all in this reading.
Man, this is a rabbit hole.
Put the sign back 0 days since we talked about it.
Since we've had an episode not mention incest in some fashion.
Yep.
I did wonder, like, Jessica's whole thing is she's like, I chose whoever I ran into first was going to be my target. I wonder how true that was.
Yeah, I'm really curious how that'll translate to like real life on the game board. Because like George has every motive in the world to kill his mother, especially with the Shannon engagement.
What a line.
Relatively, yeah.
What real motive does Jessica have to kill Kyrie, like in a regular world where magic doesn't exist setting? Unless what Hayley was saying could be true. Kyrie is trying to get Ushirimiya gold, and Jessica is, and for all of Ava wanting to get George recognized as the heir, Jessica is technically the heir to the family. So maybe something like that, like she's got to kill Kyrie to protect the family or something. I don't know.
What would be crazy is if George and Jessica on the board are not actually the killers in like a mystery setting. If we are correct in that they are both about to die to Beatrice, who's to say they actually did it?
Sure.
Yeah, that's true.
I was thinking about that. Like, I think that this is possibly like an explanation that Battler is giving, but not necessarily the actual truth. Like, we still haven't figured out exactly how they would have escaped the guest house to go do this stuff. It very much would implicate them if Maria said, yeah, they left last night. Jessica went to go get a book. I don't know. Like, that seems bad. So there were other people that probably didn't have alibis during that break that could have caused that.
True.
Something I do want to point out, because this is kind of relevant to how would they do this without getting noticed. The Twilight starts at midnight, right? At the end of the section of reading where George kills Ava and we see the clock, it is only 12:05. Or, no, I'm sorry, it's 12:07. It's just past the 1. The minute hand is just past the 1. And then at the end of Jessica killing Kyrie, it is only like 12:12. It's not even 12:15. So these scenes, while they take us nearly an hour to read, are in the timeline of what's happening less than 5 minutes. So
which is like crazy. Like
That is true.
What a lore dump, and then a murder scene in 5 minutes.
So, I mean, who knows? Who knows what the alibis could be? But I think that makes it extremely possible. Even if they do end up dead, we've been over this in the past. Like, there's nothing precluding that some of the dead people were murderers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we will see as we continue on in the reading. Was there anything else y'all wanted to go over before we wrap up?
I forgot to mention there was a line in the very beginning of this reading about how Genji makes excellent cookies, and we know that Ronove makes excellent cookies, and so I was excited to see that because I keep trying to match witches with people, and that just validates that more.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder that like they might actually just be the same person.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Virgilia is Kumasawa, Genji is Ronove.
Yeah.
Who's Gap?
There's evidence.
Goda is Gap. We talked about this before. I think that was what we came up with last time. Goda is Gap.
Goda is Gap.
I like that.
Because I was wondering, like, oh my god, let Goda please be like a secret drag queen.
They're both kind of cunty. I don't know. I see it.
I see it. I like it. I like
Thank
that.
you.
You're welcome.
That one got me.
I wasn't expecting that reaction from you, Ben. I love that. I mentioned this earlier and then I never came back around to it because it was actually a lot earlier than I thought it was. But when I was talking about Zepar and Furfur showing up and being like really abrasive, but also being like more classy than a lot of the other demons, they show patience and respect for Jessica when she's like steeling herself to like make the decision on whether or not she's going to fight or not. They understand that it's like an important and a solemn decision. So they're not like trying to antagonize her in any way or like make it difficult. They're just like letting her take her time, which I think is reflective of the way the story is going. Like the whole Beato camp is not as
malicious,
antagonistic, what have you, as it used to be. It is interesting. But I just wanted to come back to that because I said that earlier and then I forgot about it.
Oh, yeah.
I do like them.
All right. Well, next week, we'll be reading about 3 hours of the BN, ending on the line, think and fight to the death. Please decide who the sacrifice will be. After which, there is a shattering of glass, and that is videos 103 to 104 of the YouTube playlist. And we got double quotes over that, so.
Just 2.
We're already like halfway through episode 6 at this point, right?
Yes, we are. Based on our schedule, we have 3 episodes of recording left.
And we've barely started the first Twilight.
Yeah.
So much has happened. It is really fast paced. We're getting so much stuff here.
Yep. Just keep thinking.
It will be crazy if the next reading doesn't even get us to the end of the first Twilight.
Yeah.
Which is my first thought of seeing like what the closing lines are of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, Cap. Like, man, is that just the resolution of the final 3?
I'm wondering if it's maybe like a further along Twilight, but
Can't wait.
Can wait.
We'll wait.
You could go read right now. We're done.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed our thoughts. I think we're getting close to the end here. So keep on thinking and remember to think off meta.